For those of you who are wondering what will actually work and what doesn't work when it comes to a traditional martial artist going up against someone who's highly trained and experienced in MMA, you will actually find out that no matter how much people actually favor it or how popular modern day martial arts is, it will never compare to traditional martial arts. Hello everyone, once again this is Dare to Speak. I just want to, first of all, I just want to say that I'm not trying to talk nonsense or rant in any way. But this is something that I know is a profound fact. And it's really hard to actually prove it without causing a lot of trouble. Ever since UFC, when it was brand new, when it first started, and then as time went on, with the Gracies and stuff like that, people were actually starting to question or wonder, what if traditional martial arts is ineffective? But in reality, it's not really the blame of the fighting style itself. The blame is on the person who's actually using the style. Now, you have to realize that traditional martial arts has been passed down from generation to generation for hundreds and hundreds of years. And especially in China, when they had uprisings against a government that was ruling over people in tyranny. And of course, during the 1600s and so on, way before guns were even used, when people were using swords and spears and stuff like that, pole arms, when it came to military soldiers. And a lot of the peasants had to, when they uprised, they actually used the martial arts that was taught to them, that was actually taught from Shaolin. Shaolin Kung Fu was the most popular, and it was actually so lethal that the government actually banned it for death to anybody who actually knew it, to ban the, in order to avoid the spread of it. And a lot of fights back then, and of course I can't really say, I never lived in those times, obviously, but it only makes sense that a lot of the things that they were taught and what they actually trained in had to be extremely combat effective to a very lethal degree. Now, whether a White Lotus society group or any other type of secret societies and things like that. Now, when it comes down to like MMA, people are saying what's really effective and what's not. You don't see too many people nowadays, even for a while, giving any kind of credit to traditional martial arts. And of course, Taekwondo is still okay. It's favored. It's still being looked at as combat effective. Traditional karate and stuff like that. Kung Fu, they're a little hazy on it. I noticed that from certain people when they talk about it. Now, to tell you the truth, when I was studying it years ago, I was actually there was just one guy that I studied under, and he was a traditional martial artist, and this was during the 1980s. I was maybe 16 or 17 years old, and this guy he had a natural instinct for fighting. He was a street fighter himself, and he was very athletic, and he had very good genetics. But he was all traditional martial arts. Yeah, it was Shaolin Kung Fu. What he was doing, and he was a badass during this time. He fought a few guys who were, of course, in gangs, and he used to fight in the street. And I'm not going to name names, but he fought a few guys that were actually Latin Kings, and some other gang. I forgot what else, but I heard from people who actually witnessed it about how combat effective he is. And there was other people that I met, and there was these certain techniques that they would use, like for those who are familiar with the animal styles, like especially, for example, tiger, how they use the claws and to rip, to grab and tear and stuff like that. And there was this one guy whose hands were so strong, he could actually just like grab and dislocate and things like that. And he showed how he actually trained in it. How he made this, and this is very good when it comes to fighting against someone who's very good in grappling. So if someone grabs you in a bear hug, instead of trying to use, of course you can use anything else that would work for you. But instead of trying to wrestle your way out or trying to use strength, he would use his strength of his fingers, and he would grab the soft part right here of the hand, and then he would just press on it and just like squeeze and just rip. And there was this one guy who got seriously hurt when he tried grabbing him in a bear hug. And he says, and when I was talking about this with a few people, they were saying, I'm pretty sure that stuff will work against an MMA fighter if he gets him in one of those locks, where it's a guillotine or the rear naked choke, they call it, or things like that. Because all they got to do was just, if their hands are that strong, they could just go to back right here and grab the fingers, because it's just usually the hand is already pressed up against like that in order to choke the person out and make them pass out. If they do it quick enough, if they respond to it quick enough and they grab the fingers, they could actually they could break the fingers and just tear it up. And then in the forearm, if they could just grab the forearm parts and just rip and tear. But very few people are actually that lethal. That's the only problem. You have to have very strong and powerful hands. And of course, this example that I'm about to show you is from a movie, but you basically get the idea of what I'm talking about. Now, that's something that most people don't even are not even actually trained in. But there are people that can actually do it. But they're like maybe a small handful, because everybody's so in tuned, or they put so much favoritism towards the modern day martial arts of of MMA and things like that, which is okay. But to me, I mean, it is considered martial arts in a sense, but in a way it isn't. In a larger sense, it's not. I'm pretty sure, because in my opinion, it doesn't compare. And I don't see that much respect towards traditional kung fu. And I can understand why. There's so many wannabes, and there's so many people that are just like they exaggerate about how combat effective they are, and then when they get into a street fight, they get their asses kicked. They get their asses kicked real bad. Now, the thing that has to be realized, for one thing, is what this guy said when I was talking to him sometime last week. I forgot when. He says you could actually train if you want to use less strength and try to get out of holds and locks like that. You have to train your hands to be that strong. There are exercises you can actually do, because what it really consists of is forearm strength and strength of the fingers. And they would use, like, he showed one example of how this one guy trained. He would take a heavy brick or a concrete, like one of those flat concrete blocks, and he would just lift them like this. He would let it go and then catch it and lift it. Let it go and then catch it. And he would do that routinely. And also holding the push-up position on the fingertips. And there was these other exercises that are known to strengthen the fingers. And just like in that movie, it is possible to be that dangerous if you train your hands, if your fingers to be that strong. You can get out of any hold without having to rely on brute strength of grappling and how to get out of it. Of course, there's many different ways, but you're not going to see too many people training in this kind of thing. Aside from that, there's also other things like iron hand or iron palm. And the thing about it is, you have to be highly trained in it to a very lethal degree. And I would feel sorry for anybody who goes up against a traditional martial artist who is really that combat effective. So that's just what I actually believe, because of course I can't speak for other people and stuff like that, because I witnessed a few of them, with not very many. But the thing about it is, it just doesn't compare. Modern day martial arts does not compare to traditional martial arts. But the thing is, the only main problem is you're not going to see too many people that are actually that dangerous. And they're pretty much in short supply. That's just how it is. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And this is Dare to Speak. And to all of you, take care.